What's up? Welcome back to Aligned. I am so glad you're here. We have another solo episode, I would say. Um I know right now I feel like I should be hearing my voice, but I'm not. We're just gonna roll with it. And yeah, it's gonna be okay. Okay. It is. It's been a week. It's been interesting. I am really close to my half marathon. I actually made a post on this last week and oh, maybe this is why. I don't feel like I can hear myself, but it'll be okay. Okay, we're just rolling with this. I think it'll be okay. Like I said, I have my half marathon. If you're listening to this in real time, it'll be, yeah, the upcoming week. And I'm a little nervous, but not really, because one, like my training has not been that intense. So like I made a post about it and talking about how I mean, it's a lot of a mindset thing too. It really is. And like the first time I trained for a half marathon, I didn't do anything too crazy. I kind of knew I was just going to do it and complete it. And I barely walked the first time. This time around, I don't know how well that's gonna go. First time was in 2020, and that was before I had kids. So it's a little different now. And like I said in my post too, it's like, okay, the farthest I've ran now is 5 miles. And it's like, okay, a 10K would have been too easy. So this was like the next step up because I don't know. I personally think it's important to like do some things that are challenging in your life. I think people get too caught up in their like day to day and it's like, "Oh, I'm just going to go to work from 7, 8 in the morning till 4 or 5 at night, and then come home, do kid stuff. Then on the weekend probably do kid stuff and I don't know, like I feel like a lot of people have lost like their own hobbies or like their own passions. And I know like in the world of parenting that it can be difficult to, have those extra hobbies, but I think it's super super important. Like I don't think I would be as good of a mom if I didn't have those things that I did for myself. Because if you're just always putting things out, like you're giving, that's not leaving any room for you to just like sit back and receive or like genuinely enjoy something. Because, too, I understand that we're raising children, but also we're still living our life and we want to be present in what we're doing and have some fun as well. And I mean, including your kids in that fun would be great. I was telling my daughter, I was like, oh my gosh, if you're a little runner, that would be so fun to go on runs when you're older and blah, blah, blah. Like sharing that together. I'm secretly hoping that one of my kids is a reader too, so that I can talk about books with them and things like that. And just like, yeah. So, this challenge, I like running for me, yeah, is a good way to stay in shape. Well, I'm like, eh. Um, it's a good way for me to kind of like disconnect and I enjoy like having that cardiovascular exercise. Like I always feel so like good when I'm done as well. And I feel like it's the perfect time for me to get like downloads and have things come in and just get, a moment to myself. So I've really enjoyed that piece of it. And then I was just like, well, my sister-in-law said she was going to do the half marathon again. And then I was talking to my cousins about it. And, I was like, well, I'm going to do it too. Because I don't remember what time I got the very first time I did it. And because it was virtual and my watch died. And my cousin and I were trying to figure it out. And we have no idea. So this for me is kind of going to be like a baseline too of okay, this is how long it took me here. And then just like competing with myself. I'm assuming I'll probably run a half marathon again. I don't think I have any desire to run a full freaking marathon. Like that kind of sounds awful, but I could change my tune. That's the thing. Like we change our minds all the time. So at this point in time, big fat no. But I love the half marathon, and the one that I have done before in the 10K in this race was the Des Moines women's one. So it's like a group of women, and I love like the energy and the atmosphere. And it's really cool just to see such a large group of people doing the same thing that you're doing. And like you have that common goal and you all just want to finish. And it's really fun. And those who get it, and those who don't. So there's my little 5-minute spiel on running. So we shall see how it goes. I'm very confident. It will go pretty well, I think. Is it going to be hard? Oh, yeah. Could I have trained better? Yeah, probably. I'm going to focus a lot on like, I'm going to do maybe a couple like shorter runs this week and then like really focusing on hydrating and fueling my body, eating all them carbs. So we'll see how it goes. What I actually want to talk about today, and what you probably actually want me to talk about, is I wanted to touch on astrology and how I actually practically use it in my life, because I got to thinking, there's just so much with astrology. It's one of those things, I say this all the time. It's one of those things you could literally learn about for the rest of your life and still learn something. And that's how I feel. Like the more energetic blueprints I do, because I do use people's birth charts for those, and I love looking at them and digging into them and learning more and more about them, because it's always so cool to me how different all of our charts are. Because I don't know, I just grew up thinking that, okay, my birthday is in September. I know I'm a Libra. I didn't know that was my sun sign. I just basically was like, I'm a Libra, and that was that. Like, that was it. Which is like, we are way more like depth. Like there's way more depth to us. It's like multifaceted. It is truly incredible, because you're like, I know some people like with their sun sign, they're like, I don't know if I relate to that as much. My sister-in-law was telling me this the other day too. She sent me this thing and she was like, do you relate to your sign on this? It was like they were saying different, it was an Instagram post, and I don't remember what exactly they were saying about the signs, but I told her, I was like, oh, try your rising sign. You might relate to that more. And she was like, oh yeah, I really do. That's with me too. When you're reading into stuff like that, there's tons of those things on Instagram, or whenever you're reading about astrology, I would like definitely recommend looking at your rising sign too when they're talking about something, or when they're talking about transits or what's going to happen, or full moon, new moon, whatever. Don't limit it to your sun sign, because that would be limiting you and what potentially could be shifting in your life. And I had a ping too right now with my sister-in-law, because I know she is a Cancer sun, but I don't remember if we talked about this on my podcast or... Oh yes, it was. So the episode I have with Emily the Mystic, we did talk a little bit about like your progressed sun sign, because she had mentioned that, once you get into your 30s, like for sure you have probably moved into the next sign, your progress sign. Your sun is always the same, like the sun was wherever it was when you were born, but in the wheel, like each pie piece, what do I want to call them, like the houses, have 29 degrees if you're looking at whole sign. And well, I mean, and then like, because it's a wheel, 360 divided by 12. And then, so she was saying just like, she kind of resonates more with her progressed sun sign. So I'm wondering if it's like that for my sister-in-law too. So if you're listening, you might be feeling a little more Leo vibes as well. Instead of that Cancer energy, which kind of makes sense. I feel like yeah, that could definitely make sense. So that's something to think about too when you're looking at your sun sign. And if you want to look up your own chart, and there's a bajillion different ways to online, I have personally really come to love astro.com. And because you can put in, there's like every different sign method under the sun, which there's a bajillion of those, which that's another like hot take I kind of want to touch on because lately, so I have been like originally like really drawn and called to like doing whole signs because that's like what everyone had taught, or when the people that I knew that were talking about astrology were like using that. And so yeah, that's what I've been using on like everyone's charts. And I was looking at my friends, and another well-known and used method is Placidus. Hopefully I'm saying that right. If I'm not, my bad. But that's where your first house starts at whatever degree your rising sign is. So for me, for instance, my rising sign is like at 4 degrees. So it really doesn't shift my chart a whole lot to look at it that other way. There's a lot of things that are in like the same houses. I think I keep looking up here because I have my birth chart printed on the wall, of course, in a frame. It's beautiful. So I can reference it. But I got to looking at someone's chart the other day doing their energetic blueprint, and her rising sign was at like 20 degrees. So that like really shifted some of the planets and stuff and the house, like where the signs ended up in her chart, um, by using whole sign. And whole sign can be like quote unquote easier because each sign is just in one house. And I like starting out, I really liked that too because I was like, well, this is confusing as shit because, well, it's like kind of in the second house and like Scorpio's kind of there and Sagittarius is kind of there. They're kind of both in this house. So what does that mean? And I was like, okay, that's too much for me. So I honestly, I kind of look at both now, and whatever's making more sense. There's definitely good things. I don't want to say good or bad. I scratch that. I didn't say that. There's just like different ways to look at it. It makes me think of like just people in general or different things. This one thing could be true for this person, but it's not true for you. And how you look at this is going to be different than somebody else looks at it. And that's the same way with all these like sign methods. And there's so many different ones. There's just like Vedic is one. I'm not really even sure what that is. And then I know there's like, I think whole signs is a little more westernized, is what I want to say. And then you've got, oh my gosh, there was all kinds of different ones. And so I think it's really whatever resonates with you. And if it's something where you're a facilitator or reading a chart for somebody else, I think you just intuitively have to tune in and see what kind of fits with everything else. So like for me, like the energetic blueprint piece, I'm looking at like multiple pieces of the chart to really get a good grasp on like their authentic energy, and I'll go back and forth, and maybe I'll add if I'm looking and let's say Jupiter is in one sign in a different method and it kind of shifts, and then maybe like I'll do a combination of because I like to look at Jupiter in the terms of like making money as well, and if there's some sort of a combination, then we can kind of like throw those together. And I think it makes it even more unique almost to look through the lens of the Placidus or both of them, because you're like really getting more specific there. And that's where I've been drawn to lately. So you'll see that reflected like when you get an energetic blueprint done, it might be even more specific, which is really, really neat and really helpful, I think. So that is a little snippet of like actually reading the charts. And again, like how am I using this practically in my life? Because I'm going to be completely honest, when people are talking about like the energy of the week or the energy of the month, or this shift is happening and blah blah blah, I listen, acknowledge it, but I at least my head it just whoop. Like, I am more of a kind of like, I'm gonna look through it at the lens of like my cycle and where I'm at, which phase, like luteal, like, and that's not even having to do with astrology, but that can kind of go correlate with the moon a little bit because I know, um, I do think the new moon, the full moon, and that cycle is really helpful. And I don't personally right now do much with like the quarter moons and the waxing, waning, like all of that shit. I'm keeping it pretty simple. And I will set intentions on a new moon, pull cards, and just kind of see and look back because I keep track of, here's my little book, my very cool planner. Oh, you probably didn't hear me say that because I went like this. And it's fun to look back at each month because I have not missed one this year and to see what was going on in my life and how, these energies did play out. Because yeah, I mean, we can look at the energy on the collective level or like this is shifting through this or doing whatever, but I mean, that's always going to affect you in some way and depending on what's going on. But I honestly think the most important thing is knowing like your own energy and your cycle and really mastering that first before you get too crazy into what's going so and so, like a planet is in retrograde or blah blah blah. I know there have been some major shifts with like in like, I don't know, 6 months to a year in a time frame. All the outer generational planets have already moved or are going to be moving into new signs. So those are pretty big deals because you're going to, feel that energy the next few years or however long, depending on how long it's in the sign. So like if you're looking, I always visualize this like the sun, and then you've got, your planets in like circles, like rings. When you're thinking of like their orbit around the sun and how long, like Pluto's taken 240 some years to go all the way around the sun. So to get through all of the signs of the zodiac, that's how long it's taking. And you're like, damn. But planets that are closer to sun, like Mars, Mercury, Venus, those are like your interpersonal planets because they're having shorter cycles moving through things. And like the sun is also moving through signs on a monthly basis, basically, is how you want to look at that. Every time there's a new quote unquote season, like right now we are in Taurus season, the sun just entered Taurus. Excuse me, needs to hydrate. But being aware, I think, of the bigger transits like planets and basic things. So basically the things I send in my newsletter are things I like to be aware of because I'm not getting real into the weeds because that's not where I am. Also, I don't want to get real into the weeds. I like to just keep track in my journal. And I mean, there's so many different things. If you're looking at what's going on. Okay, so this planner, I forgot what these are called. The Magic of I. It said it right as I opened it. Wonderful. It's like an astrological planner. And it'll tell you, like, that's all the shit going on in the sky on that particular day. And planning my energy around that sounds exhausting and not interested. At all. So that's why I bring up that it's super important just to really get aligned with your own energy and how you're feeling and, looking at your cycle and then, knowing the basic things like what is the sun sign in right now? Like that's very basic. Oh, it's Taurus season. Luxury, beauty, stubborn people. But then also like the moons, that can just be like a good reminder for you to revisit any intentions you have or goals and make sure that you're actually taking action steps to do those things, or are you still wanting those? Like sitting and gaining some clarity on the things that you actually want. Those are probably the biggest ways that I use astrology now. I just becoming really aware of my own chart, like learning your chart and continuing to dive deeper. And obviously, everyone's not an astrologer. So that is why there are people that do that or have energetic blueprints readings with which mine are really astrologically heavy. And I go into a lot of that. And then you also like, I have a friend, she does transit astrology readings. So you can like look at your whole year and being like, okay, this is going to be a really big shift for me. I've got Pluto. For me personally, I just had it up. So like my transitioning Saturn is square to my north node from like March to November of this year, which is like a big deal. Like, so like Saturn is transitioning and it's in Aries, moving to Aries, something like that. Please don't quote me on that. I don't know off the top of my head. So it's like Saturn is encouraging you to get serious about leaning into your karmic purpose of expanding your knowledge, traveling, and sharing wisdom from all of your experiences. So I'm like, okay, cool. I like that. I can dig that. But then other things, I also have Saturn. Saturn's doing a lot of things for me this year. And Saturn, I feel like, yeah, people can get like a negative connotation a little bit. It's one of those generational planets. And it's one of those planets that are going to like illuminate things for you, I think. And for me, it's like Saturn is encouraging you to get serious about stronger boundaries and self-care in your home life, bringing some structures that create more emotional honesty with your family and help you break the habit of overgiving. So, I mean, having a reading like that done too is kind of nice just to be aware, like, okay, these are like the big themes of this year. I personally would rather know like some big themes rather than like a week by week thing. Because if we're getting that down into the weeds, I think it just kind of glazes over my head. So that's why I prioritize like my own energy and knowing where I'm at in my cycle with being aware of those other things and then just starting to really learn your chart. And the things that I use the most, like beside, knowing my sun, moon, and rising and knowing so much about my rising sign and like embodying those qualities of the ruling planet of my rising sign, because that's important. That just like makes you more aligned and authentically you. And then knowing your north node and your dharma, your karmic purpose in this lifetime, one of your, I don't know, purpose is like to me, it's like, okay, we have this purpose of all, living, learning, growing and stuff. And then we also have like, feel like individual purposes. Like, I feel like I have more than one purpose right now. Like, I have a purpose to be a mom, to raise my kids. I have the purpose to share this stuff with people and really dive into myself and get vulnerable and be like, this is me. This is what I like to do. And what was the other things? Your Chiron. So your Chiron sign. And then I have a lot about like your second house in astrology and like Jupiter placements and things like that, because everyone wants to know how to make more money. Of course. We need more money in the hands of good people. So always, always, always. So, I mean, that wasn't a lot. That was a long conversation. That wasn't actually a lot of things. Like, I'm not going to use it to overpower my life. Yeah, it might be a lot for you to learn some of these basic things at first, but then you just kind of know that stuff and you embody it. And you can use it as a reference, I think is great. Yeah, the biggest things I know on like a daily basis is, what sun sign we're moving through right now, in the new moon, full moon cycle and any bigger transits. I know that nothing is in retrograde right now. That is a important piece of my astrology knowledge that I find to be useful. And because, when things go retrograde or there's eclipses, that can be illuminating, and that maybe a time to maybe not make some crazy rash decisions or just take a step back. There will be another eclipse season later this year. So I think that kind of rounds out what happens in that previous eclipse or ones from last year. I don't know, something like that. Anywho, we don't have any retrogrades right now. So it is, yeah, like a good time to gain that clarity and really get the ball rolling on the things that you actually want to do. And if you need assistance with any of this, want to learn more about your chart, please reach out. I would love to help you. I enjoy doing the energetic blueprints so much, and the activations are so cool and so fun. And I really think that they give you such a great foundational knowledge and just allow you to move forward and align with your most authentic self. And I want everyone to do that because I think the world would be such a beautiful place if, we are anchoring into more of a fifth dimensional frequency and everyone is, really moving towards their purpose and what they came here to do and how they are serving the collective in a hopeful way and really enjoying life here on Earth. So thank you for listening. If you are still here, I am going to leave the links to the energetic blueprint activations in the show notes, and we will talk to you next